मगर इस देश रहना चाहिए, इस देश का लोकतंत्र में रहना चाहिए.
You can do one Mumbai, you may lose Baluchistan.
2, 1, 0. S139 mortar.
This man is a horrible man. He must be shunned.
For this to count. Our job is to hit the target, not to count the body bags.
Namaste, sir. Welcome back, audience. Today we are going to talk about the recent burning issue जो चल रहा है is about the crude and gas crisis. बहुत hot topic है. So, so we are going to cover that today.
Yeah,
So-
Parth, because there's a lot of fear in the minds of our countrymen that the way things are going in, Middle East, and Strait of Hormuz has been blocked by Iran, we may have very serious, shortage of LPG specifically, then oil, petrol, diesel. So there, I think there is a lot of, even our opposition, or you can say the people who are not in the government, they are trying to force this into the minds of the people कि बहुत गड़बड़ होने वाला है और लड़ाई हो गई है and we have not taken Iran का side or any side, and then we'll have this shortage and our people will suffer. So let's see whether it's a myth or it's a reality. Over to you,
Yes.
Parth.
Okay. So let's explore it. So India's energy crisis. So there are some facts. What is the response by the government and what's the road ahead? Okay. So this will be an entirely data-driven discussion where I will not present my opinions, but I will show what is the data from the government. Okay.
And I
So
think the
let's-
source also will be defined as the information and broadcasting, source PIB is there and ministers, and wherever the source is there, we have mentioned in the slide.
Correct. So this is from the Strait of Hormuz crisis. This is what's happening due to Iran conflict. Many of the emergency in the oil markets and gas markets is happening. So this is the first ever commercial closure, and we are at roughly day 15 of that entire closure, which is happening. Okay, so this represents 20% of the global energy flows. About 22 Indian vessels are still in the Gulf. 6 LPG vessels are stuck. And it depends. They may not be Indian flag, but they are different. Maybe ones which are stuck, which are destined towards India, but may have not been released yet. So there
Yes.
is a lot of things in the pipeline. So what is the data? So what is the Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz here in the Gulf region? What does Hormuz really mean? What is the reason why it is so important? Why is this crisis happening? So roughly in Strait of Hormuz, almost 21 million barrels per day is happening as a transfer. The width of the strait is only 39 kilometers. About 14 plus nations are dependent on this. And
Let me just interject. This Strait of Hormuz is totally controlled by Iran, and post the attacks, Iran has said, "I'll not let any vessel pass through. Only his vessels, which he intends to send it, say China or to his friendly countries, is only passing."
Yes, that's correct. And India imports about 90% LPG as of today through the Strait of Hormuz, and roughly 35 to 50% comes the crude comes from the Strait of Hormuz. As of today, the total LPG at risk, which is in question here, is about 54% of India's supply, which is why there is a crisis in the minds of people and why people are buying induction cooktops and they are sold out. Right.
So I think 20% of the whole trade is passing through Strait of Hormuz. And of that 20% of the world trade, we've got around 54% of the LPG specifically, and 35 to 50% of our crude. India's requirement passes through Hormuz, which is quite a sufficient bit. 50%, around half of our crude, which gives the derivatives of petrol, diesel, and the LPG, which is again half, 50%. So half of our oil imports are affected because of the US-Iran conflict and Strait of Hormuz being totally overtaken by, controlled by Iran. So there is a fear in the environment, in the media, and the other places that since 50% of the crude imports are affected, we'll have serious shortage in India.
That's correct. So if we look at it, this is the chart for describing what is the energy dependence for India. So we depend in different percentages for imports of crude oil, LPG, and other petroleum products as a mix. And the good news is that on the PNG side of things, we are also having a lot of production within India itself, and
Domestic.
lesser component of that is imported.
Okay.
So if we go further
But
ahead,
if you
we'll
if you see the LPG imports are in the last slide, LPG imports through Hormuz is around 90%.
yeah, that is the LPG. Yes,
Yes.
correct. So we used to import the majority of our LPG from Qatar before, where they had the gas fields over there. Now it is going to change,
Passes through
hopefully.
Hormuz. Everything passes through
Yes,
Hormuz.
yes,
Qatar, you know.
yeah. So what is the LPG supply breakdown which is happening here, right? So we have to understand this part. Roughly in the last financial year, right? We are talking about more than 33 crore connections of LPG, more than 10 crore of beneficiaries of subsidized cylinders, and there are more than 25,000 distributors with almost 50 lakh plus cylinders which are delivered every day. So there's a lot of consumption side, distribution side. All of this infrastructure is present with how much is made domestically
So if
versus
you
how much is imported.
34% is domestic, that means we produce a substantial amount of LPG domestically through
Yeah,
our different oil rigs and oil wells. So that will still control the, but still 61% is coming through the imports. Yeah.
yep. So on the next slide, we can look. So what are the crude oil suppliers? So this is on the oil side of things, because some of the oil products are also used to generate the gas afterwards, right? So we
Hmm.
have Russia, we are buying Russian oil. We have Iraq, we have Saudi, we have UAE, and even USA. So different grades of crude is imported from different countries.
So if you see Iraq, Saudi, UAE is affected by Strait of Hormuz. So that accounts to around 35, 43 odd percentage, right?
Yeah.
Russia 36 and USA 5. So around 41 is not affected by Hormuz because these are coming through different trades routes. But what we can do is USA further Venezuela is also added on. So we can increase the imports from Russia from 36, we can increase it to 70, and even USA we can further increase, even if the exchequer has to pay more amount, so that can cover this Iraq, Saudi, and UAE imports which are coming through Hormuz.
Actually,
But
if you look at the
nevertheless,
16,
hmm, hmm.
yeah,
but
if you look at the
nevertheless,
16,
I sorry, I'm just interjecting. But nevertheless, Iraq, Saudi, UAE, what Iran has promised, if the vessel is of the Indian flag, and there are two odd vessels which have already come, so that trade has reduced but not stopped, though it is trickling and it will increase. So if any vessel which is of Indian origin having Indian flag, it is allowed to pass through Strait of Hormuz, and two vessels have reached. So that is again a success by our foreign diplomacy.
so I was saying the other, which is 35 plus other nations, like those are also part of a significant oil trade as well.
Yeah, yes. We can increase that because 35 other
Yes,
options are there through which we can increase the percentage of imports.
correct. And actually, Nigeria also is one of the new members on the block. So they are also
Yes,
having a lot of crude supplies, oil supplies, which we can get from them, from Africa, which is not affected by Hormuz or this kind of supply chain issue right now. And they are
yes.
actually closer to us than other places in the world, which are maybe Russia is further away, even US is further away. But let's say physically, Africa is more closer to India than say United States.
Done.
So,
Right.
so if we go to the next topic, so what has government done so far? Okay, so this is the timeline that you can see right from the start to what we are today on March 14, 15, roughly. Okay, so we have seen that the conflict started roughly Feb end, right, on the 28th. It escalates. Then on the first, we get an announcement that okay, Strait of Hormuz is closed to ships, and then we have the on the March 7th. So on the domestic side, for the unsubsidized price of cylinders, there is a minor adjustment of 60 rupees to accommodate for this difference in price. Then on 8th of March, LPG control orders issued under some of the emergency powers that the government has. And on 9th, we can see that there was an anti-hoarding committee set up to ensure that nobody is doing profiteering or making sure that nobody is taking advantage of a situation like this. Okay.
Okay.
And now we are here today. Almost yesterday, it has happened that two tankers have crossed the
Yes.
Hormuz Strait. which means
That is,
almost like something north of 92,000 metric tons of gas is being made available to India shortly.
so if two can pass, five more can pass. Two more can
Yep.
pass, and five more. So point is that if the tanker is of the Indian origin, they are passing. So gates have not closed totally, at least for India, with a
Yeah.
strong, neutral foreign policy. And we can, as Parth has said, for other 35 countries like Nigeria and other countries, we can increase the, imports. And there is no crisis as of now. Even when the time lag for those crude, resources to come in, we'll be still okay. That is what we can see with the open source information.
Yep. And even according to the numbers released by the government, almost 28% LPG production has been achieved, increase has been achieved just in 5 days compared to where we were before, from
That's very
the
nice.
government side of things, where refineries have been asked to increase the output to that extent.
That's very
Okay.
nice. That's very
Yep.
nice to know.
So, what are the emergency measures for the LPG control order? So, like I mentioned, this increase in the LPG production is there, and all of the refineries have been, made aware that you have to increase the amount of production that you have for LPG. This
Hmm.
order was issued by the government on 8th of March. It's roughly
Okay.
about a week back. And if you look at all the other things, we have accelerated the sourcing from other places like US, Russia, Norway, and Canada, who have gas, and they will not be affected by the Strait of Hormuz. Additionally, to ensure that supply chain does not break or is not a problem, temporarily the booking gap for LPG has been changed from 21 days to 25 days. So, which means
Okay.
that we are not in a pressure for crunch of gas or any other resources. We are having ample amount of things available to us, right? We shouldn't panic and create uncertainty and rumors when there is not any need for it.
And start hoarding. What happens is, if you have a fear ki rakh lete hain, instead of one, you order two cylinders. So what is happening in the resource, the kitty which is there as a reserve for this crisis is reducing, because you are creating this crisis, and you're creating this fear and anxiety ki khatam ho jayega. Like there was some news ki start getting atta dal and all those things at home, कि आप रख लो पता नहीं क्या. So this creates the crisis नहीं भी होती है तो आप क्राइसिस फोर्स कर देते हो, बिकॉज आप जो रिसोर्स है उसको खा लेते हो. एंड वी गॉट 140 मिलियन पीपल. इफ एवरीबॉडी
Yep.
स्टार्ट्स डबलिंग इट्स रिक्वायरमेंट, तो अपने आप ही रिसोर्स क्राइसिस हो जाएगा. फिर आप कहोगे देखो क्राइसिस हो गया. सो दैट इज व्हाट वी शुड डू इज, फॉर द ऑडियंस इज, आप उतना ही लो जितना जरूरत है. देयर इज नो crisis as of now, and there is nothing to panic. That is what with the data says.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if we look at it, okay, so we have given the highest priority for natural gas and CNG and PNG for domestic use. So there are no
Hmm.
cuts on that front. That is being prioritized to the largest extent possible. So that is not a problem in this situation.
Hmm.
Then we see our industrial output is not going to go down as much as it is anticipated, or people are having some fear about it. Fertilizer plants and other commercial entities like the refineries are going to get some kind of a adjustment in their allocation, right? And
Okay.
hospitals and education institutions will get uninterrupted priority supply regardless of what sector they are in, because they are some
Yes.
of the essential ones. So that is
Yes.
not a problem here. Okay.
So no
So
critical services will be affected due to this shortage. That is what this slide of Parth which says, right?
correct, correct, correct. So on the next front, so what are the supply diversification and emergency actions we have taken? So we have struck a deal with United States for about 2.2 metric TPA or
Hmm.
MTPA amount of long-term supply contract, which is independent of the Hormuz, and this is via Atlantic route. Okay, so there will not be any kind of hoarding as well, because we have the DAC code. Like now, if you order a cylinder, one has to give the authentication code, and there is enough amount of measures which have been started against the black
Hmm.
marketing.
Okay.
And like we said, we are buying from more sources like Russia, Norway, and even Canada, right? We have
Okay.
almost tankers crossing, which we discussed. Two have crossed, almost to government-owned tankers, LPG tankers, have crossed the Hormuz. More than 92,000 metric ton worth of gas is on its way to India. So we shouldn't worry and have a panic about the situation. So what is the
Okay.
price impact in consumer prices? Because people are saying, "Oh, this may arise," but what is government to do with the pricing? महंगाई बढ़ गई है, inflation is increasing. So actually, if we look at it, the non-subsidized one has only a minor adjustment of 60 rupees, okay, which happened a week back. Anybody who is having a subsidized cylinder, their subsidy is being maintained. There is an increase in the commercial cylinder cost as they are businesses, so they have to adjust
But
as
that
per market.
increase is quite substantial compared to the crude oil changes from $60 per barrel to nearly $100 per barrel. Huh? So if you
Yes,
see that
yes.
change, which is even 60-70% increase, उससे तो बहुत कम है. Effectively the changes are less for the beneficiary को छोड़ के, the non-subsidized and the commercial ones.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. And even if you see, according to the global reference price from the last year of, well, in the last couple of years from 2023 to today, the price has
Hmm.
increased substantially. Even then, the government has somewhat maintained stable prices, which are more predictable, and it is not
Hmm.
a shock for the society. Okay.
Okay.
So, if we look at it, so what is it? So, supply is protected. Okay, this is the key facts as per Government of India data. Okay, as
Hmm.
of today, this is the data. We are having all of the things work in place. We are having all the cylinders being delivered, like more than 50 lakh cylinders being delivered every day. 100% supply is being provided to any kind of emergency or critical services. We have the distributor networks for the last mile delivery. We are also having a decent amount of time. So if you book a cylinder today, you may get the cylinder in 2.5 days. So I think this is a decent kind of predictability that one can follow for placing the order
So this
for
is
their.
from the Power Ministry statement in the Parliament as well as the PPAC daily distribution data. So the sources are from on the open source. Even if you take it with a pinch of salt, still situation is not bad. Grim to chhod do. It is not bad. It is equally okay.
And I will say that if you have a doubt and you are feeling that this is an issue, so please try to place the order by yourself if you are in need of the fuel, to see for yourself whether this is a reality or whether this is panic. In my
Ah.
opinion, there is nothing to worry about here. We are having the supply chain in place, so it is somewhat of a non-issue. So, okay, so now what should India do? What should Bharat do in the long term for our energy security? So, this is a long term roadmap that I'm proposing, right? So, this is based on what government targets already are there.
Hmm.
We are looking
Renewable
as.
energy. Yeah.
Yes. So these are some of the commitments also in COP26. We have made commitments for increasing renewable energy capacity by 2030 by almost 500 gigawatt, which is, like we are maybe like roughly 43% there. If the year is right, 2026, we still have 4 more years to build a lot of supply, and we are
So, but
almost halfway there.
still we got around 46 or 7%, which you said is still today as on now is on renewable energy, solar,
Yes,
wind.
43%. We have achieved a renewable energy target,
So that
whatever
is
we had said.
so 50, nearly half of our power requirements, the electricity requirements come from renewable energy. That is itself a big update and big performance by a country.
Yeah, yeah. So they are increasing it by that 500 gigawatt mark as what is compared to today, right?
Yes.
And we are going to expand our strategic petroleum reserve from 74 days to even higher. So the
90
IEA
days.
recommends
Uh,
90 days, and so this expansion is underway. So people have realized that okay, we need to stock more. So in case there is any kind of conflict in the future, something happens, then we are not affected as much or at all.
But even 74 days of petroleum reserve is a big, reserve. It is not a small reserve. And I think during the Russia-Ukraine war, what India has done is continuously just started importing cheap crude from Russia, and we have created this, reserve. Otherwise, we did not have such a big reserve. What I understand, last 4 years, because of the Russia imports, we have stocked this reserve in big amount quantity, so that in any eventuality, in case of war, any such situations, we can handle it and we are prepared for it. 74 is good enough. 90 is what IEA recommends, international
Yeah.
energy. Yeah,
And the
but
interesting thing to note is that all of this is not in one place. Okay, so it is not one
yes,
big tanker or one big building where
it's
everything is stored.
distributed.
Okay,
Yeah. Mm.
it is distributed all across the country. It is in
Mm.
underground tanks and cisterns where
Mm.
much of this is protected for national security reasons, so that we are
Yes.
not vulnerable. So, in terms of our security for the whatever we are having for our petroleum reserve, we are safe on that front. Okay, so
Very
then
nice.
the next part we have to think is, okay, so we are going to increase our import capacity
Ethanol.
for natural gas,
Okay.
for the mix
Natural gas.
of share, so that we can reduce the impact of crude oil or some kind of other more expensive products which are going to create problems for our energy consumption in the long run.
Yes. Yes.
And we are almost there. So we have, as per the government, we have achieved the 20% ethanol blending target
Blending. So
for
though
the.
this is something with the public is not very happy with, because they say the old engines there, because of the high percentage of ethanol, their engines performance gets affected. But then this is just a process to reduce our energy burden, and in the new engines will not get affected. They are ethanol blending proof.
They are certified. They
They
are
can
basically
sustain. Yeah,
certified for
they
that.
can sustain the ethanol blending. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. So it is a trade-off, but I think this is the right trade-off for our
For the
country in the long run.
country, it is important. Yeah.
So we are also going to meet our net zero target by 2070. We have committed it at COP26, which happened in Glasgow, right? So we are on the roadmap, and we should understand this is our long-term energy security roadmap. So
Right.
all of
Yes.
this is based on government data, which is your citation is given below for you. So what can citizens do? Meaning, अगर आप देख रहे हो तो आप क्या कर सकते हो? What can you get from this presentation? What are some actions that you can do? So don't panic book. Okay, we have enough supply. Please don't worry about the
That is
situation.
what parts and my analysis is, that there is nothing to panic. You will
Yes.
only panic if you can create this crisis by yourself. If 140 billion people or 120 billion people start ordering double what they require, you will create a panic otherwise, which is not because of the international situation or the Strait of Hormuz blockage situation.
Yep. And if you are having access to pipe natural gas, if your flat is eligible or if your house is eligible for this, please switch to that, because it is 100% guaranteed under the gas order. If your commercial facility has this option, so then you are covered. Okay. So then if you really say that, okay, you want to have backup, you can use induction cooktops as a backup. This is something
Mhm.
which is a ongoing thing. Okay, so it is good
Yes.
idea to have it regardless for any particular household, because it gives you options in any time of crisis. So it's okay. Don't buy from black market. Okay, first of all, there are penalties for that reason. But beyond the penalties aspect of things as well, the issue is that it is also a problem for giving bad incentives to the people who are doing this black marketing effort, and it is
Mm.
giving rise to more crime and more supply chain problem. So we shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So from the advisory, we should follow what the government is saying, so that we are not falling into a trap of self-fulfilling prophecy by creating artificial demand when there is none. Okay.
Yes.
And then when you're using it, you can conserve gas. So if you are not going to use the gas, just turn it off. Like, practically it will save you money also, and you don't need to use it. Make sure that it is not running when you're not looking. These are safety things one
that
must
that
consider that.
that may save 1 or 2% from your side, or even 5%. But if you just multiply with 120 or 140 billion people, you can see how much amount of that 2% amounts to a big chunk. It may be some few days of a reserve of our country.
Absolutely. And one can use pressure cookers, like pot lids and all these kind of
Hmm.
things, these tools, so
Which
that you
people
have
are
to
aware.
use
Yeah.
less fuel for cooking, basically.
Yes.
So the message is, stay informed, stay calm, and Jai Hind. Thank you for the presentation,
I
sir.
think Jain, and this was an educative video. Nothing to do with the background was Iran-Iraq war. Nothing to do with war-like situation, but actual how does it all this discussions of war affect us? That was the aim of this podcast.
That's right. Okay, sir.
Okay, nice,
I think
nice
we've
information,
been
Parth.
able to give our audience
Well
a good
researched.
preview.
Yeah.
Let's stay connected, and we'll do another video very soon.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Have
take
a good
care.
week.
Bye.